I laughed at my sister's ridiculous baby name. Now I'm banned from the christening. My sister Jenna and I have always been close. Not the call every day, share every secret kind of close, but we were solid. We grew up like teammates, especially after our dad bailed and it was just us, our mom, and the world. So when Jenna got pregnant last year, I was genuinely happy for her. She'd always wanted to be a mom, and honestly, she deserved the good stuff. Her fiancé's great, the house is nice, and the baby? Total miracle baby after years of fertility problems. I was all in. I went to every shower. Bought stuff off the registry. Helped paint the nursery. I even drove an hour and a half at 2 a.m. when she had a Braxton Hicks scare. So when she finally gave birth to a healthy baby girl last month, I couldn't wait to meet my new niece. She sent me a text with a picture. Tiny little face, wrapped in pink, the whole 9 yards. Beautiful. Then I scrolled down and saw the name. Welcome to the world, baby dragonfly Xena Moonlight. I stared at it for a full minute. Thought maybe autocorrect had a seizure. So I texted back. Wait, is that real? Face with tears of joy. That was my first mistake. She replied with, yes. Why? I didn't think. I just fired off the first thing that came to mind. It sounds like a Tumblr username from 2009. Yeah. I know. Harsh. But it was automatic. A reaction. A sister moment. I thought she'd laugh. I thought we were still in the place where we could say stuff like that. She left me on read. Next morning, I wake up to a wall of texts. From her. From our mom. Even from her fiancé's cousin, who I've met twice. The gist? I was insensitive, jealous, and toxic. Toxic. For cracking a joke. About a baby name. That includes the word dragonfly. Then my mom calls. She's really hurt, she says. This name means something to her. I ask, what exactly does it mean? Apparently, dragonfly represents rebirth and transformation, Xena is from some fantasy book they read together during IVF, and Moonlight is, well, Jenna just likes moon stuff. Okay. Fine. But banning me from the christening? That's what happened next. A week later, I get a message from Jenna. Given how you reacted to the name, we think it's best if you don't attend the ceremony. We want only supportive, positive energy there. Positive energy? I'm the one who showed up for everything. Who helped her through breakdowns and nursery meltdowns and mood swings. But one text, one dumb, flippant text, and I'm suddenly the villain? I didn't reply. I figured she'd cool off. But as of today, I'm still blocked on everything but email, and the christening is this Sunday. So I'd accepted it. I was officially exiled from the christening of baby dragonfly Xena Moonlight. My sister was ghosting me harder than a bad Hinge date, and the family had gone full cult mode around her sacred naming journey. Fine. Whatever. I figured I'd stay home, make a mimosa, and silently judge the photos when they inevitably showed up on Facebook. But then, 3 days before the event, my cousin Molly called. Now, Molly is chaotic neutral. She's the type to spill family secrets by accident but never out of malice. So when she said, okay, don't freak out, I already knew I was about to freak out. Guess who Jenna picked as godparents? I threw out a few names. Her fiancé's sister? A best friend from college? Nope. It's Brad and Kayla. I nearly dropped my phone. Brad and Kayla. Our second cousins. Literal human beige. These are people who once brought a bucket of fried chicken to a vegan potluck and said, sorry, we didn't know. The same Brad who, last Thanksgiving, said he doesn't trust women who don't wear makeup. That guy. I actually laughed. You're joking. Nope, Molly said. They were surprised too. But Jenna told them, and I quote, they've always respected my parenting vision. Parenting vision. Like she's running a TED Talk for moms who named their kids after insects and celestial phases. I was fuming. Not because I wanted to be godmother, honestly, I would have taken that responsibility seriously. But because she gave it to 2 people who didn't even visit her in the hospital, while cutting out the one person who had literally held her hand through every meltdown during her pregnancy. So yeah, I decided to show up. Not in a crash the ceremony kind of way. I'm petty, not insane. But I figured I'd at least swing by the reception. Quiet. Civil, just to say congratulations and drop off the gift I'd already bought weeks ago, a custom baby blanket with dragonflies embroidered across the top. Yeah. I leaned in. Call it sarcasm with a side of sincerity. I put on a nice outfit, stayed toward the back, and waited for the reception crowd to thin a bit. When Jenna finally saw me, she froze. I smiled. Held out the gift bag. Didn't come for drama. Just wanted to say congrats. She stared at me like I'd walked in holding a Molotov cocktail. Then she said, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, "I thought we agreed your energy wasn't welcome today." I blinked. "Oh, we're still on that?" I said. "Because I made one comment about a name that sounds like a Disney fairy? You mocked something that means a lot to me. And you banned the one person who actually showed up for you for 9 months straight." Silence. A few people started awkwardly turning away, pretending to text. Then Jenna said something I will never forget. "You think being there during hard times gives you a free pass to disrespect my child?" I just looked at her. And said, "No. But it should at least earn me a seat at the table." I dropped the bag at her feet and left. Didn't yell. Didn't cry. Just walked out of the christening of a baby I already loved, but apparently wasn't spiritually aligned enough to celebrate. It had been almost a month since the christening fiasco. No calls. No texts. Just social media silence and mutual relatives acting like nothing happened. I was already making peace with the fact that maybe, for the first time in our lives, my sister and I were officially done. Then I got a text. From Jenna. Just one line. "We need to talk. It's about the blanket." At first, I thought, what, did I spell dragonfly wrong? Did the embroidery person have a stroke mid-stitch and sew in damselfly instead? But no. It wasn't a typo. Apparently, the blanket, the one I dropped off during my exile, made her cry. But not in a sweet, sentimental, look how much my sister loves me kind of way. No. It made her cry because it reminded her of me. Of what we were. She called that night. Her voice was tight, like she'd rehearsed this conversation 12 times and still didn't feel ready. She said, "When I opened the bag after you left, I pulled the blanket out and just lost it." I asked why. She said, "Because I realized that even after everything, after I shut you out, you still showed up. You still thought of her. You still cared." I didn't say anything. She kept going. "I was so wrapped up in feeling judged that I didn't realize how much I'd pushed you away. It wasn't about the name. It was about me needing everyone to support exactly how I was doing things, or not at all." I asked her the honest question. "So, why didn't you want me there?" She paused. Then said, "Because you know me better than anyone. And I was scared you'd see how insecure I actually felt. I thought if you laughed at the name, you were laughing at me." That hit harder than I expected. Because yeah, I had laughed. But not because I didn't love her, or the baby. I laughed because we were sisters. And I thought we were still allowed to be real with each other. "I wasn't trying to hurt you," I said. "But you hurt me back. In a much bigger way." She said she knew. She said she regretted it every day since. Then came the part one didn't expect. "I want you in her life," she said. "Not as a guest. Not as an afterthought. As her aunt. The one who brings the sarcasm and the snacks and the stories that make her laugh when she's 13 and hates everyone." I laughed, genuinely this time. Then I asked, "So does this mean I'm invited to Dragonfly's first birthday party, or?" She groaned. "We're calling her Z for short." Fair enough. So yeah, I was officially back in the circle. Jenna and I weren't magically fixed, but the ice had melted. I was Auntie again, the fun one, apparently, and Baby Z, formerly known as Dragonfly Xena Moonlight, but now mostly referred to as Z, was an actual delight. Chubby cheeks, gummy smile, and the kind of laugh that makes you forget you were ever mad about anything. The first birthday rolled around fast. Jenna went all out. Theme? Celestial Garden Fairy Realness. There were floating balloons shaped like stars, butterfly wings for every guest under 5, and a cake taller than the baby herself. It was the kind of event that screamed Pinterest board turned reality, with maybe a hint of trauma-bonded overcompensation, but hey, it was beautiful. I showed up with a gift, a smile, and a silent prayer that nobody would bring up the name thing. Of course, that lasted all of 10 minutes. Enter Aunt Cheryl. If you've never met an Aunt Cheryl, let me paint the picture: perpetually overdressed, thinks sarcasm is disrespect, and somehow always has a glass of wine in hand no matter what hour it is. She cornered me near the fairy-shaped sugar cookies. Well, look who's allowed at family events again. I smiled tight. "Good to see you too, Cheryl." She sipped her wine and said, loud enough for the table next to us to hear, "I was surprised Jenna let you back in after what you said. A baby's name is sacred." I wanted to reply with, "So is self-awareness," but I didn't. Instead, I said, "We worked it out. We're good." She leaned in. Still, it was cruel. Laughing like that. Maybe you should have kept that opinion to yourself. And before I could reply, someone else cut in. From across the room, I heard, Actually, she was the only one honest enough to say what half of us were thinking. I turned. It was Kayla. Yes, Kayla, the surprise godmother from the christening. The one I had mentally labeled human beige. She walked over, cool as a cucumber, and said, "We all gossiped about the name." She just happened to say it out loud. And she still showed up with a blanket, while the rest of us texted half-hearted congrats. Cheryl blinked. "Well, I never." Kayla shrugged. "Maybe you should." Then she handed me a mini cupcake and walked off like it was nothing. I stood there, stunned. Not just because someone defended me, but because she got it. She saw what most of them didn't, that showing up, even after a misstep, matters more than silent approval. Later, Jenna pulled me aside and said, "Thanks for coming. And for not throat-punching Cheryl." I laughed. I had backup. She smiled. "Good. Because I don't care what anyone else thinks. I want Z to grow up around people who speak the truth even if it stings a little." And in that moment, I knew we were really okay.